everyone. So today I'm going to present a session on Google Compute Engine. So before we begin, let's take a look into a knowledge etiquette. So first, respect knowledge session timing and keep your mobile device in silent mode and make sure to submit a constructive feedback and avoid disturbance. So today's agenda of the session is what is Google Compute Engine. First, we will understand what is Google Compute Engine, and with the introduction, we will also understand what are the features they provide, why we're using Google Compute Engine, and the third is Compute Engine machine family and machine types. What are the machine family and what are its types? And instance template, why we're using instance templates, and the demo with the description. So, so first understand what is Google Compute Engine. Google Compute Engine is a service that enables you to create virtual machine in GCP, and it also provides you with a number of features. So whenever you want to deploy application, we need survey, right? So whenever you want to deploy application in the cloud, we need a virtual server, and virtual machines are the virtual server in GCP. So Google Compute Engine is a service in Google Cloud Platform to provision and manage your virtual machine. So now I'm going to show you like where you can create and use the Google Compute Engine. Sorry. So this is the dashboard to the console, and you can create first to start in Google Compute Engine. First, you understand I've created account, and first you have to create an account and add the billing details so that you can use any of the resources and get the free tier credits from Google. The only prerequisite is the Google account and billing enabled. So I have already created account, and so I logged in directly. So now we are going what we are going to do is we are going to create a VM instance using Compute Engine. So for creating a VM instance in Compute Engine, let's go to the Compute Engine, and we can see I have already created an VM instance. For you guys, I'm going to show you how we can create a VM instance in Compute Engine. For creating a VM instance, first you go to Compute Engine. First you go to console, and then go to dashboard and go to the Compute Engine, and here the option create instance. So first we have to provide the name. I will give the name as like anything. Let me put it my first VM for knowledge. Yeah, and there is an option level. So whenever you create resources in GCP, you can associate level with them. We can add different level to indicating more information about the VM. So we can create any level, like anything we can add a level. That is not compulsory, we can add, it's depend on us. And after level, there is a next step. You have to choose a region and zone. I'm keeping it as a default region and zone. And there is next thing, a machine configuration. In machine configuration, there's option machine family. There are three types of machine family: general purpose, compute optimize, and memory optimize. Can you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Anuradha.
So the first one, general purpose. You would see general purpose, which are machine types for common workloads, optimize for cost and flexibility. And compute optimize is used for, you would see the high performance machine type for compute intensive application. And memory optimize is a large memory machine type for really memory intensive workloads. For that purpose, you are using memory optimize. So based on the application that you are going to run, you can choose this specific machine family. This comes inside the machine family. So for now, let's choose, I will choose general purpose and stick with the default which is suggested. This is will choose the option all this default. And there is next thing, uh, I'm keeping all these things as default for till now. And there is option firewall. Firewall configuration, we want to run an HTTP server on the virtual machine, and you want to allow HTTP traffic so that somebody from the outside can access the application which is running on your virtual machine. So I have to allow HTTP traffic. And now we can see that um, running running this instance would cost me around $28.61. That's about 0.04 per hour, and this would be taken from my free credit trial. So one of the most important thing I would recommend you to do is to play with it and immediately stop the instance that you created. And your free credit is as very very valuable. So don't keep the instance running, and let's go ahead and create the instance. It will take some time for creating the instance. As you can see, it is going to create. It will take some time. For now, we can come to the slide. So we already understand what is compute engine. So compute engine features. What are the features that it offers to us? It helps us to create and manage the life cycle of virtual machine instance. We can start, stop, terminate virtual machine instance as much whenever we want it. And we can also implement load balancing, auto scaling for multiple VM instances. Compute engine also allow you to attach the storage to your virtual machine instances, and it also allow you to manage the network connectivity and configuration for your VM instances. And suppose if you want to assign an IP address for your VM instance, and you would want to able to use this IP address to talk to your virtual machine or to send a request to your virtual machine. So what we can do, Google Cloud Engine enables you to manage the life cycle of a virtual machine instances. So in the next slide, what you'll see, machine family, and there are two things. When we are creating an instance, see we keep the default machine family and machine types. So let's understand what is machine family and what is machine type. So different machine families are present for different types of workload. There are three types of machine family: general purpose, memory optimize, and compute optimize. The general purpose is the one that is recommended for most workloads, and this provides the best price performance ratio. So if you want to run a web application or a simple application server, or if you want to create a small or a medium sized database, or to run your dev environment, then this kind of situation you can go for the general purpose machine family. And memory optimized families, if you want to have ultra high memory workload, and if you want a lot of RAM to run your application, in that kind of situation we can go for memory optimized families. Some examples are like when you would want a large in memory database, and if you would want to perform analytics in memory, in that case we can go for memory optimized family. And when we should choose compute optimize, the other kind of use for compute intensive workloads, and for these kinds of use cases you can go for compute optimized families. For example, if you have a gaming application that would want to run and you want a lot of CPU, in that kind of situation we can go for compute optimized family. And now the next slide is about machine types. Once you choose the suppose once you choose the machine family, you would need to choose the machine type. So how much exact amount of CPU, memory, or disk you want for each of the machine families. So suppose there is a E2 standard 2. Let's take example of E2 standard 2. Here E2 has represents the family, and standard indicates the type of workload that you want to run, and 2 here indicates the number of CPUs. And memory, disk, and networking capabilities. increases as the number of CPUs increases. And the next question come, what operating system and what software do you want on the instance? That's why decide by choosing an image. We can decide what operating system you want or what software you want. We can decide by using choosing image. So there are two type of image, public image and custom image. Public image is maintained by Google or open source communities or by the third party vendors. And custom image is created by you and customized by you. So we understand until now, like you choose your hardwares by deciding your machine type and you choose your software by deciding an image. In this slide we will simplify VM HTTP server setup. The next question come, like till now we see that there are a lot of steps for creating a VM and setting up the Apache HTTP server on it. So how do we reduce the number of steps in creating a VM instance and setting up a HTTP server? So there are few things, by using these things we can reduce the steps and consumption also. So these are like a startup script, instance template and custom image. First we'll understand what is startup script. So I would want to install, suppose I would want to install some software and launch an VM instance, and for that we would need to configure startup script. How can you use a startup script to set up the Apache HTTP server on the start of the VM instance? So the purpose of installing any software or installing OS patches when a VM instance is launched, one terms here is what is bootstrapping. So the purpose of installing any software or installing OS patches when a VM instance is launched is called bootstrapping. So let's get back to a VM instances where we'll see how we can configure starter script. So when we are creating an instance, and we go to the managed service management, we see there is an option of starter script. Here we can write a starter script and create an instance. I think I already created an instance using a starter script. I will show you. This service is created using a startup script. Here's some configuration. You can check from here also. There is an option startup script. I already mentioned here startup script. This one. So I already created an instance using a startup script. You can create an instance the same. So another is instance template. Another is instance template. So if you want to create an instance every time, you need to choose the hardware, you need to choose the software and then configure the startup script, and then also enable HTTP firewall and then create the instance. So how can we avoid that? So to avoid this process, what we can do is we can create an instance template. When we create an instance template, we can define the machine type, the image, levels, a startup script, and lot of other properties related to our virtual machine. And we can use that template to launch our virtual machine thereafter. So we can use instance template to launch individual VM instance as well as group of VM instance. Other one important thing is that instance template is that it cannot be updated. Once you create an instance template, you cannot change it. So what we can do actually, to make some changes in instance template, what we can do actually is make a copy of the existing template and then change it and create a new version of it. And another features that is present with instance template is instead of specifying a specific image, we can also specify the image family, which you specify a image family and the latest non-deprecative version of that family is used. So that is the feature of instance template. So let's see how we can create an instance template from the console. In compute engine, once you go to the compute engine, there is an option of instance template. Here I have already created an instance template. So this is my instance template. You can create instance template from here. And this is totally free. You don't need to charge for creating the instance. You don't need to charge for instance template. Once you are creating a VM instance from the instance template, then it will you have to pay for that. Until now, creating instance template doesn't require any charges. So this is an example where you can, if you want me to create instance template, I can create it also. But I don't think there is lots of time, so we can go to the slide. So there another thing is in reducing launch time with custom image. In the previous slide, we saw how we can specify the creation of virtual machine and setting up the software on it using an instance template. There is one problem with this approach, with the last in this approach, instance template. Installing OS patches and the software at the launch of VM instance increases boot up time. So whenever we create an instance, if you're installing a lot of software or a lot of OS patches, then it takes a lot of time to launch that VM instance. So how can we avoid that? Um, One of the approach that we can take is to create a custom image with OS patches and then and the software pre-install. So the process will be like first we create an instance. The process will be like creating instance is like first we create an instance, then we create a custom image out of it, and then we create a further instance using that custom image. And next slide last and almost slides last slide is internal and external IP address. We already seen here when we created an instance. It takes some time in loading. Yeah, there is an internal IP and there is an external IP. So external IP address are internet addressable. You can address that from the internet. So I'm on the internet and I'm reaching out to a specific virtual machine which is installed inside my Google Cloud platform. So it is an internet addressable. Like, yeah, you can see here I can open it from the browser. So it is very internet addressable. And internal IP address, this is the internal IP address. So internal IP address are internal to a corporate network. The this is example. In this example, the virtual machine is installed inside the GCP network, and the internal IP address can only be used inside a Google Cloud network. You cannot access from outside. So external IP external IP is published over the internet, and thereafter you cannot have two resources with the same external IP. And however, two different corporate network can have resources with the same internal IP address, because the internal IP address are not available on the internet. They are just internal to some network. So similar internal IP address can be used in two different networks. It can be used with two different networks. And whenever you create a VM instance, by default, it is assigned at least one internal IP address. And whenever you're creating a VM instance, you can choose if you want to create an external IP address or not. And important things to remember is that Whenever you stop a VM instance, external IP address is not lost. So this was all. So I already show you the demo. I already created a VM instance using a template. I'll create a VM instance and show you like how we can create add a level, zone, everything. And if you have any question, please ask. These are the differences. So you can go to that refer this link and get knowledge in deep. That's it. And thank you. Thank you, everyone. If you have any question, please ask.
Does Google Cloud GCP provides you its own link so that you can publicly fetch or interact with the VM through that link only? For example, if I deploy a SQL over or a database over GCP, I can interact that or I can create a website out of it.
Actually, when we are creating an instance, it provides you an IP address, external IP, from which we can get access of that. From instance, get access of that, all that things, external IP. That is like we can see here. This is external IP from which we can get the access of everything that whatever your requirements. This one. For that part, we have to add script. You have to add that script and make it as default firewall. HTTP firewall default. These are the only requirements for that.
Okay, thank you.
Any more question?
No, no.
Anyone? If you want me to create an instance template, how we can create a if you want me to show you like how we can create a virtual machine using template, all these things. So I can show you. Actually, I can see we have some time here.
Sure.
Anything? Okay. So first, what we'll do, first we create an instance template. Instance template for, and I'm making all these things default. I'm adding this script file, allow HTTP traffic, so we can access from outside also.
There was one option of container. What was that?
What is?
There was an option I see here on the console. Container, deploy a container. It is used for the means for the deploying purpose. It is.
Yes, yes, it is for deployment. And we need to write a script here. I'm keeping all these things default. We can choose on your preference. Creating first, I'm creating a template, and you can create a VM using that template. So we don't need to mention a name again. If I would, if I added a level, then it also show the level also, and we can see there is same configuration as we configured in the template. allow HTTP traffic, everything. So we can create from the template. It will take some time. After that, it will create it. Any more question? Yeah, it is running, and we can see. We can start it, stop it, suspend, delete. There are many more option. It depends on our requirement. And yeah, after creating the instance, you must need to stop it, as it will deduct your balances. You have to stop it. So I'm going to stop all that instances which is not using right now. Guys, any more question do you have? Do you want me to ask?
I think there are no more questions. Still, the forum is open for everyone. Any kind of a question you can share here, and you can also let us know the feedback of the session also. Okay, so I think there are no more questions. You can see the reactions, Anuradha. So, people, we would love to hear you guys.
So thank you everyone.
Okay.
If you have any question, do you want a more session on Google Cloud, so we can come up with more content. And if you have any question personally, we can text me in Google chat. I will reply you as soon as possible.
Okay, so
Okay.
I think there are, yeah, Lucky, you were saying something.
No, I'm saying okay, Anuradha.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
If we have any query, we will ping you definitely.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining in. I hope you have learned something new today, and definitely we are looking forward for your feedbacks, and we would love to hear you guys. Whatever you wanted to, suggest or to improve us, we will definitely work on that. And thank you, Anuradha, again for this wonderful session, and thank you guys for joining in. Let's move to the another session at 4:15. So the session is by Webhub, and I forgot this other name, but yes, we have another two sessions. Yeah, the session is from Prashant Trivedi and Webhub Sharma. Introduction to Jenkins and Introduction to Database. Let's join those sessions. You must have got the invite for the other two sessions. So that's all from our side. Thank you guys.
Thank you everyone.